Coming to you in low quality and low definition, this is Bad Guy Labs. I'm Jason Emerson, here with my partner Cole Koenig.
Hey.
So what we do here is free thought experiments. And what they really are is just thought experiments, but we'll just keep that on the old DL. So we're the bad guys, well, because we like to be, but also
it feels good inside.
It feels very good in my cockles. But also so you don't have to be. But if you want to tickle your cockles,
your friends,
you can join us as honorary bad guys. So make sure that you email us regularly. BadGuyLabsChannel at gmail.com. We're Bad Guy Labs on Facebook. We're at Bad Guy Labs on Twitter. We're Bad Guy Labs Channel on YouTube.
God damn it.
That's just that list of crap that we've developed. And then we haven't even started doing the blog yet. But that pounding through that list every week is just for some reason excruciating to me.
We got to say it at the top. People got to know where to find us.
Yeah. So it's I think that
like us, follow us, subscribe to us, email us.
Yeah, do things to us.
Yeah.
Twat to us, and we have a special meaning for that, which is to accidentally tweet naked pictures of yourself to us, or to whoever.
To the world.
Put yourself out there.
That's what we're doing.
I don't know. We want emails and comments and twats and I guess whatever you can think of. Hate mail and love mail, and if you want to be a dickhead and leave like dickheaded comments, if you want to be a nice guy and leave nice comments, anything, just anything at all. And then we'll just delete the negative shit and
and do what we want. Well, and you said do it regularly, and that made me think, do it when you've got some time, like when you're taking a shit.
Yeah,
so, you're just sitting there, get out your laptop, your tablet, your smartphone, your what the fuck ever.
The thing that hasn't been invented yet. And that in a few years when people are listening to this and are recording and we don't sound dated, use your flying cell phone.
Right.
I think that's the next thing they'll invent.
Or you're a little bit behind the times. You're using a computer that was white when you bought it. Now it's an odd shade of yellow.
Yeah, right.
I hate that, by the way. But...
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on your outlook on things. If you're a glass half full guy versus a glass half empty guy. Now, I know what you mean because I hate that yellowing of pristine white stuff myself.
Yeah.
But if you look at it differently, you can say that it's developing a fine antique patina.
It's been seasoned.
Much like a Turkish pipe. Turkish pipes are ornately carved and bright white. I guess they think they're ivory, or they used to be ivory. And they start out bright white, and then when you smoke in them over time, they get a fine antique patina of yellowishness, and that's what's supposed to happen.
Now, what if you're a person who the glass isn't half full, the glass isn't half empty, the glass has 300 mils in it?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think we're headed into literal douche territory.
Yes, we are.
I like to think of yellow computer monitors as Turkish.
As Turkish computer monitors, fair enough.
How the hell did we get here? Oh, yeah. So,
people tweeting to us when they're taking a dump.
Perhaps someday we'll even put up a telephone number, assuming those still exist in the future. And you can get out your old rotary telephone, and we'll try to make sure there aren't a lot of like zeros in our number. That's the bad end of the rotary dial, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I used one of them.
And then it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you had like a lot of nines or zeros in your number, everybody hated you and like didn't want to call you.
I'm assuming like that was one of the ideas behind 911 is putting two numbers far apart from each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it works out more or less the same way on a digital phone.
Yeah, yeah. Although in other countries it's 1, 2, 3, which
that's stupid.
Bad planning, and I've heard of cases where a lot of kids called and they're like 1, 2, 3, do. So
fucking kids. I hate kids.
If it had been me, I would have made the 911 system like 73264978113.
You would be roundly panned, sir. Subject to ridicule and derision.
I don't like to... I'm not much of a prognosticator. And I don't believe people can predict the future very accurately. But I think I can accurately predict that the rotary phone is going to make a big comeback.
Well, LPs are. So, you know, it's all about vintage technology.
I had a fake rotary phone a few years ago. Somebody gave to me as a gift. It was like, you know, the old black standard telephone from the 40s, but it had push buttons on a rotary dial.
Yeah.
That's
I've
kind of
seen
cool.
those.
But, I don't know. It ended up getting ruined in a flood anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'll talk about that some other time.
It would be kind of funny though if there was some sort of rage for vintage electronics, like check out this like a vintage black and white TV.
Yeah, it doesn't have any ability to decode UHF signals anymore because they did that changeover back in 2009. Like, you know, the fuck are you gonna do? It's not cable ready. It's got like 3 screws. The only thing you can do with it is like play Atari.
That would be fucked up. I wouldn't know how to operate, especially if it had like little to nothing on the back of it.
How about vintage 8-tracks?
Oh yeah, vintage 8-tracks, vintage.
For some reason, people love 8-tracks. There's a certain small group, but
that is weird. Vintage. Well, I know people do vintage appliances because for whatever reason they think like a 1950s kitchen looks cool, but whatever. That doesn't seem to be as funny as like I've got a vintage TV or I've got a vintage radio.
Yeah.
I've got a vintage phone.
Some stuff is just shit.
Yeah, some stuff just blows. I've got a vintage dot matrix printer.
Oh yeah, that's never gonna become
a thing.
Great. It's like you could say I have this vintage crystal chandelier. Now that's, you know,
that could
nice.
be good. Yeah.
Not a dot matrix printer.
Whatever, man.
I have in my basement.
Takes me back to the fall of '89.
Oh Jesus.
No.
I remember it always fucking up. Like I had a Commodore 64 and a dot matrix printer, and it would fuck up all the time, and like I'd panic because I had to like a paper due. And,
yeah.
Those days sucked. At least that's better now.
Fuck yeah, it is.
I have a vintage asbestos tape in the pipes in the basement in my house.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I feel classy.
High school I went to had all asbestos ceilings.
Yeah, they had a big project in my high school when they like taking all that shit out. Like it took all summer, and they covered like the whole school in like, you know, some sort of barrier shit, like a tarp thingy or something. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember like, you know, before that, people would laugh because like if like a basketball hit like the ceiling of the gym, like powder would come down.
Yeah.
Like,
people threw coins, like change. They throw them up and they get stuck in the ceiling at school.
Oh man.
And I went to a Catholic school, so there was no like getting money from anybody. It was just we'll replace it someday.
How many of us are gonna get mesothelioma?
I think I'm fine, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's one of those things where the dosage is important. And, like, it's not, like, where one tiny exposure to asbestos fucks you. I hope it's not that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, me too. Because that would blow balls.
Speaking of blowing balls, I think that knowing that we've been exposed to asbestos... I think basically the thing to do now is to blow your balls regularly while you're still alive. That's my philosophy.
Certainly keep them well polished. I could get behind that initiative.
Gotta enjoy yourself while you can is what I'm saying, people.
Yeah. I'm just saying if I look down and I can't see my face staring back at me, I'm just not happy.
I'm picturing like using one of those bowling ball polishers. Waxers.
Well, you know.
Man. It's like
whatever it takes, really.
It's like 2 tiny ones like right next to each other.
We could market this. Anyway.
So, yeah, vintage shit. Vintage one of those Here's a bad idea, but I want one. I want one of those urns that like turn your drinking water radioactive, like for your health. I want one of those. I don't want to actually drink out of it.
You just want it in your house.
Save it for guests.
That's a nice lead glass.
There's a lot of stuff out there that like old inventions that are just crazy.
What did they make those out of? That it had a radioactive element to it.
Uranium.
Oh, Jesus.
Uranium clay. Like, you know, out in the Southwest especially, like, you know, you just dig a big hole and you'll dig into like a uranium clay deposit. And the way they use uranium in like a nuclear reactor is to refine it out of the clay.
Right.
So when I went to, I think I was in Canyonlands National Park. I think that's in Utah or somewhere in that area.
One of those polygon states.
I was walking around and I noticed signs up that said like this used to be a uranium mine years ago, and there's like still like access roads where trucks could drive through the Canyonlands, and
wow,
like I guess it's just rich in uranium. So, and they stopped like mining it either because they ran out or because like the national parks changed their rules or something. But yeah, you could totally make, you know, all sorts of people. Primitive people have made like bowls and like eating ware out of uranium clay, and it's, you know, it's fucked people up, things like that. I love all those old products like that kill you.
Oh yeah, those are the best kind.
I wouldn't mind having like a collection of those behind like, you know, a lead lined wall.
Have a camera that is in there with them so you can show people. This is my uranium earthware collection.
Probably wouldn't hurt you just to be around. I'm not sure how much. I don't know. I'm not sure how. Maybe it's not good. Maybe it emits radiation right out of it. Because I know it makes the water radioactive by over 12 hours. You
right.
put it out the night before, and then, but
I don't know.
And then over time your jaw will fall off. But
see, now I'm also imagining, you know, the terracotta army.
Yeah.
Made out of clay, made out of uranium clay. So it's actually a terracotta army that could kill people. That would be fucked up. If they had made it out, you know, if they made it that way. Slave labor, who cares?
Yeah.
Or just the ancient Chinese. There's always been fucking tons of them. They seem to not give a shit.
Yeah. Huh. That would have been a fun twist on. That's like M. Night Shyamalan-y. You know, kind of a twist.
Maybe a little Sherlock Holmesy. There's a way to make that into a Holmes story.
You're like, oh, this is just a statue army. I can't be harmed the whole time. But yeah, there was a whole line of radioactive products, and you know, from the uranium clay pot to the dishware to like radium belts to help women like when they have their period cramps. Like,
well, clearly,
you know, radium exposed like directly like on your ovaries is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's like an ovum force field. They just bounce right back up.
And those X-rays, the X-ray machines they had in shoe stores in the 50s, and you know.
So this was like post-nuclear bomb stuff.
Yeah.
Because I could imagine before that, where there isn't like a huge stigma. You know, they're like, this kills people beforehand. Like, radiation is the way of the future, but it's post-bomb stuff, really.
The X-ray machines were in the shoe stores.
Wow.
The other stuff was before the bomb.
Oh, okay.
They didn't know. You know, early 20th century. They didn't know that, like, radiation... They didn't know anything about radiation. They just...
Oh, yeah.
It was the latest thing. It was like vitamins. Like, you know...
that horseshit.
Well, the thing about radiation is you shouldn't really get any of it. You should try to avoid it as much as possible. Whereas with vitamins, it's more of a, you know, you don't want too little, you don't want too much kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So... But
especially because too much in most cases just doesn't do anything.
Right, you're just making expensive pee and or possibly risking getting hypervitaminosis. But yeah, like
indeed,
there are different things in the world there are different kinds of scales, and you got to recognize what scale goes with what product. So
right,
you know, radiation. Although even a little radiation is good for you because, like, you know, if you just never went out in the sun ever, like I don't know, I'm not sure if the jury's in on like heliotherapy. Like, I've heard that getting a little bit of ultraviolet radiation from the sun is good for you. Like, obviously it helps you make vitamin D, although you can just take vitamin D. But
Yeah.
like
How dare you?
people have said that you can use it to dry your skin out if you have acne. I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I think there is some truth in that. That just like, well, but then again, it doesn't. What it all boils down to for me is like focusing on the sun, because like UV radiation will kill bacteria on your skin that causes like pimples and stuff. But obviously, we can make UV radiation. It doesn't have to be from the sun.
Right, but it's still radiation.
It's cheaper, yeah.
So I guess though, let's say that a little radiation is good for you. It's still not the same as like the vitamin scale.
No,
a medium amount, a tiny amount of radiation is what you need versus a medium amount of vitamins. So
well, unless you've got a cold this winter, then you might need a fuck ton of vitamins.
Don't please.
Don't give yourself zinc toxicity, people. Please don't do that.
Well, yeah, like various remedies in the store. I'm not sure. I guess we're allowed to name names. Fuck it, Zicam.
Yeah.
I think we can offer a valid criticism without being sued.
And Zicam, I think, is the insidious one, because not only does it contain ingredients that are that people like in the popular imagination think are effective, it's also homeopathic. I think, is that the one that I'm thinking of? Because there's also it's like it contains some sort of zinc something or other, but it's also diluted. It's weird. Well,
it's got non-diluted zinc in it, but it's got diluted everything else in it.
Oh, okay.
So it's got actual amounts of zinc, but that's the tricky part about that product. Is usually when it says homeopathic, it means there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
Because their theory is that the more dilute something is, the more powerful and potent it becomes. But in this case, they made a homeopathic remedy, and they just put a bunch of zinc in it.
Right.
So, and the thing about too much zinc is that it takes away your sense of smell, and sometimes like you never get it back. You just erased it for the rest of your life. So
yeah,
that's the shitty part about that. And
well, yeah, because they're fucking around. It would be like taking an actual blood pressure medicine and making a homeopathic preparation of it.
Right.
It's like the chemical actually works. You're just not giving enough of it.
Well, the dumb part about homeopathy too is, it was, for one thing, it was just made up by some guy in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And it's based on the idea that not only is the substance more potent as the more it gets more dilute, but it's actually substances that are the thing that causes the problem you have. So like if you have like hives or whatever, you're supposed to take a really dilute version of stuff that gives you hives. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was born out of the same line of thinking that where vaccines came from. But that doesn't mean it's legit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an argument that a lot of like alternative medicine people give, is like, well, you do it with vaccines, and the thing about vaccines is there's actually shit in there.
Well, right, but it's also like a well-defined pathway. Like we know that if that there's this there's a virus, it gets in your body, it infects you. But if you basically warn your immune system via a vaccine, it knows it.
Yeah.
You know all this shit. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm just going through the fact that there's a whole fucking process that you can explain. Whereas for the other people, it's like, well, cat dander gives you an allergy. So if we give you very tiny amounts of cat dander, Well,
the difference,
the
difference is what you're actually doing with vaccines is creating the thing that fights the disease.
Yeah.
Now, you do that via the mechanism of the disease, but in the end, it's not the viruses, the dead or weakened viruses you're injecting into your bloodstream that are fighting the disease.
Right.
All you're doing is making the right antibodies that lock onto the viruses later. That's actually, so it is opposites and not likes. That's why it's different from homeopathy.
Yeah, because it would be retarded if people thought that it was like, we're giving you a little bit of the virus, and that's going to help when there's a ton of the virus.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's not what happens.
Yeah. So, and the other thing, of course, about homeopathy, for those of you who don't know, is that it's so diluted that there's like none of the original shit left in it. And some people claim that that's okay because water has memory and has some sort of like mystical, magical way of like retaining the information of the stuff that was in it. Except if that was true, like all the water on Earth is like a super powerful drug every time somebody threw pills in the ocean, or like they like you throw your pills away and it gets washed into the water table, or every time you take a dump in like a pond, or like piss, or
dinosaur urine.
Yeah, by that logic, all water on Earth is super powerful. Birth control, Vicodin, like piss and shit, everything that's ever been in it.
What would be the implications if you reminded those people that every oxygen atom in every molecule of water was forged in the heart of a star?
Yeah, I don't think that they're not on that level.
I'm not saying they are, but I wonder if they've ever taken a moment.
No,
they haven't.
I feel like I can definitively answer that question. We don't need to sit here and wonder about it.
No problem. No problems.
I think I know who we're dealing with. I've met a lot of people that are into this stuff, and they're nice people. And they're not stupid, but they just don't ask the same questions as we do, and they don't think along the same lines, which I guess would be logically. Well, I don't know.
Just asking the basic probing questions.
Yeah, they accept too many assertions without really questioning them. Like the homeopathic assertion that dilute means more potent, and that like cures like, and that water has memory. Like, if those basic premises were true, then I could see why you would follow it. Mm-hmm. But they're not doing the basic due diligence of checking into those initial premises to see if they're true.
Right.
And that's, I'm sorry, but that's just really dumb. Don't do that, stupid.
Please don't do it.
So, moving on with our weekly sexual euphemism challenge, we've decided that only one of us will do it. So every other week it'll alternate between Cole and me.
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
Cole has challenged me to somewhere in the show say plowing the Hubble Deep field. And if I succeed, you'll hear a cheery, happy bell sound. And if I fail, you'll hear a disappointing, losery, trombone sound. So
it's unfortunate because I like the sad trombone sort of sound.
I know.
But we haven't gotten a chance to use it yet.
I know, we're just too good.
Fuck, yeah, well.
One of these days, I'll have a really bad hangover or something, and I just won't catch it. So.
Or somebody needs to send in a really tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. We'll take submissions.
Yeah, we've come up with a lot of fake sexual euphemisms and real sexual euphemisms and whatever, but we could always use more. So.
Fuck yeah.
Plop them down on our Twitter or our Facebook or our email or whatever. So.
Man, I would be really impressed if someone twatted one of our fake sexual euphemisms to us.
Ooh.
I would be super duper impressed. I might even send them like a gift bag. Maybe some
uranium clay.
What are they? Yeah, some uranium clay. Some edible arrangements. They're delicious. Delicious.
I was thinking more sending them nothing but torpedo-shaped things.
That would be interesting. See, now I've combined the idea of torpedo-shaped foods and the concept of edible arrangements to an arrangement of torpedo-shaped foods. It's supposed to look like a bouquet. A bouquet of dicks.
Well, you guys work on that and make us happy.
Please.
Make us happy.
Please.
Please. So moving on.
Yeah.
I think we will once again be talking about what it means to be a bad guy. Sort of a recurring theme in the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So why are we bad guys? Well, we're doing it ironically, as we've said. We're not nice guys, but we're not actually bad guys. That's just a label that we have decided to own rather than allowing other people to apply it to us as like an insult. And it's very freeing. It means as free thinkers that we can be free to do whatever we want and then be free to accept the label of bad guy on ourselves and not be bothered by it. So one of the ways that we are the bad guys among the many is that we are actually laying, I guess, traps for ourselves in a way. We're laying ambiguous groundwork. Many of the things we say are ambiguous, so that if you're if you're going to be generous with us, you will see what we're presenting in the spirit in which it was intended.
Hopefully.
But if you're a PC fuck or a literal douche with a chip on his shoulder, then you will see us as bad people. And we're doing all that on purpose. We want you to show your true colors and expose yourself. And we want you to prejudge us based on our ambiguous statements. And also, we try to use reason and logic as much as possible to defend what we say. And when we're not making a statement, we're just asking difficult questions, and we're not asking loaded questions. So I feel that that's defensible. We're not doing like a Glenn Beck kind of thing where, you know, he's just asking questions, but he's a dick about it.
Right. I don't know if this is exactly what you were thinking of, but yeah, I don't see myself or either of us really as asking questions with like some sort of huge ethical or moral premise behind them. Like that if people answer the wrong way, we're zinging them. We're going to be like, aha, so you are a closet fuckface. Like,
yeah. Well, you know, the old thing of like, do you still beat your wife, or have you quit beating your wife yet? So it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Either way, if you answer yes or no, you're
guilty of being
a beater, yeah.
Yeah.
And any question can be a loaded question if you insert what you think the answer is in the question.
Right.
So if you were to ask who created the universe, because you're a religious type, you're already assuming the answer in the question, rather than saying where did the universe come from, which would be a more honest and open-ended question. So we try not to ask loaded questions, but we do ask a lot of potentially offensive questions.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so
reality can be offensive, unfortunately, for those people out there that can't handle that.
Yeah, I don't apologize for that. I'm just really interested in finding stuff out, I guess, on a basic level. And that's why we're here doing free thought experiments. We're free thinkers doing thought experiments. And if you want to take things negatively, you're going to. And we just want to give you negative Nellies out there a chance to do that as efficiently and quickly as possible, and to do it to us. You know, we're just going to help you out as much as possible in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that we don't restrain or fetter ourselves too much, and that's sort of the object, is that we're going to talk about things that aren't supposed to come up or be brought up, or in a way that's, you know, not necessarily the most sensitive, or I don't know. I think when it comes to things, when it comes to almost everything, we're going to talk about, you know, what we know, what we don't know, and what we think about it. Our opinion. I can't think of any other way to say it.
Well, like in the past, we've talked about like when it's okay to tell rape jokes, or like the thing about our continual reference back to episode 10, in which we defended people who were being accused of being victim blamers merely because they were evaluating risk factors rather than actually blaming victims. So that's our reference back to Rule 10, or our episode 10, which we call Rule 10, I guess.
Works for me.
So, you know, it's basically, there's a common thread through this, which is people are doing one thing, which is innocent, but being accused of another thing, which is guilty.
Yeah.
And that's the theme through every one of these shows and thought experiments that we do. And they sort of pop up all over the place.
Right. I sort of think of it as the opposite of like how to win friends and make people like you. Like we're not giving you that kind of advice, because to me those are, if you work that way, which I guess whatever, some people do, those are the nice people and we're the bad guys.
Well, also though, I'm friends with a lot of nice people because I understand how to behave in public.
Oh, well, yeah. Of course.
I'm not just yelling cunt, fuck everywhere I go.
Whatever. I'm imagining you driving down the road and on your motorcycle just going, cunt, fuck.
I actually have a horn that just says that when I hear it. Cunt. Well, first of all, How to Influence Friends and Whatever People. I remember that. I listened to it on tape, and it was interesting, and it had some neat points to it. But it was all really kind of just, you have to just sort of take the author's word for it.
Yeah.
There's no real backup. There's no real research. There's no citations. It's just a guy saying a bunch of crap he thinks. And a lot of it is plausible, but you don't really know. And I think a lot of it is bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of the self-help industry in general is just complete and utter nonsense. There are little components here and there that are true, but most of it, I think, is just crap.
Well, and I think, as George Carlin famously pointed out, if it's self-help, what the fuck do you need the book for?
I think maybe we are. Well, first of all, we are the opposite of How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that's
the phrase I was looking for. Yes,
that may be a good thing that we are that, because maybe we are the accurate and consistent place to go. As much as we yell the word cunt out all over the place, and whatever, just all these things we say, all these uncomfortable questions about like blaming the victim and stuff that we ask. Well, first of all, like, we're living proof that you can do this and still have a bunch of friends. So I mean, there's something there. And also, I know for a fact that there are a lot of other people out there that think the same way.
Yeah.
So I'm friends with people that I refer to as the normals. And then I'm friends with other people that are like bad guys, ironic bad guys. And I thought that too, that like doing this show would just drive people off. But I think the opposite is probably true, that, well, I know too for a fact, because I've talked to people that said this, that they secretly like the show, but they can't tell anybody.
Right.
And I'll bet you that there's a lot of people out there that all feel that way, and if we could all get them together somehow.
If only they could anonymously like our Facebook page.
Yeah. So, it would probably explain, because I know people listen to the show, but it would probably explain the lack of like feedback and likes and things that we get.
Right.
Nobody wants to put themselves out there.
That's why we give out our email address.
Yep.
Send us an email. We're not going to be like,
Yeah.
We got an email today from this guy who's not supposed to like us from Schenectady.
Yeah, right. So that's I guess that covers what it means to be a bad guy. Tune in for future installments, and I'm sure there will be many. So moving onward into a nice related area, we have a double segment header: the literal douche alert and the This Week in Fake Offended People. And it's the people who I refer to as the masculine pronoun police, where they either think that you're being sexist when you use hims and he's in your sentences to refer to all humans.
Yeah. And
I think that's stupid bullshit, that's sexist, that's even remotely an assumption that you should make. First of all, it's just proper usage of the English language to use the masculine pronoun, and you're wrong in making the assumption that masculine pronouns are always masculine, because they double as a neuter, and a lot of people don't know that. I'm not even sure everybody knows what the word neuter means. If you've taken a foreign language like German,
yeah,
you would know, but neuter is neutral, genderless. It's a pronoun that's like it, something like that, or they, and people are using theys inappropriately in language and in English.
Well, yeah, because they and them is a plural.
Yeah, and I'm all fine and dandy with using them if you want to, because language evolves, and I've said many times that I use language improperly when I know people understand what I'm talking about better.
Yeah.
But don't assume I'm a sexist because I'm using masculine pronouns in the neuter.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think that would be the main point, because like, to me, I would actually take issue with like the idea that, actually, if someone were saying, well, actually in English, he and him are can be used neutrally. They may be used neutrally, but they're still masculine. I don't really care what anybody says. They're masculine pronouns. But yeah, I think it would be completely unfair for somebody to say that you're a sexist because you use them.
Yeah. Or that I'm like my privilege is showing or any of that bullshit. Like words have more than one meaning and usage. And you know, just because we think of the word him as referring to men only doesn't mean you can assume that that's always what that is. It has other meanings and usages.
Well, yeah, and to me, this is another good instance of where if people really gave a shit, like other languages, like you said, German, there are other languages that have neuter third-person pronouns that are singular, that refer to just one person. Let's make one up. Every fucking word that exists is made up. Let's make up a new one and spread it around.
Well, the theys and the thems of the world, you know, used in that way, like a singular they.
Yeah. But that's,
if you want to.
I think that's goofy, and I think that's goofy just because it sounds like bad English. Like, and obviously, yeah, I just said it was an artificial construct, but
I think it's fine to everything sounds like bad English to somebody from years ago.
Well, true.
So I'm not going to argue that this is a case where if you want to, you can use a singular they.
Yeah.
And I was reading up on this, and it's sort of already taking off. Like anyway, like some sources are saying it's no longer improper.
Mm.
But then that's fine, and I'm fine with using it that way. But if I want to use the masculine pronoun as a neuter, I think I should be allowed to do that without having somebody breaking my balls every 5 fucking seconds about it.
I would agree with all of the above.
That's all. And again, the reason why I care about this is because I don't like it when people make assumptions, and especially about me being the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is this is why I segued into this, is because this is yet another part of what it means to be a bad guy.
Right.
You know, fine. I properly use masculine pronouns as a neuter word, and fine, I'm the bad guy for that.
Yeah. The thing that I try to do to adapt to it, because the reason it gets annoying is because I tried really hard to write differently when I was younger, and people, like teachers, would give you shit if you. That's why I guess I have like weird thoughts about it, is because I tried to move towards saying he or she, and then that got really cumbersome and stupid whenever I wrote papers.
Yeah,
it just looked bad. But then I used they, and then I get points taken off because they're like, well, that's a plural pronoun, that's not a singular pronoun. And I was going, well, what the effing fuck do you want me to do? Like, I don't understand. So I just, even though it makes you sound oddly formal and sort of 19th century-ish, I just transitioned to saying one. If one were to go to the grocery store, what would one buy?
Yeah.
I just switched to that. It sounds goofy when you say it out loud. It even reads a little goofy on paper.
No, I don't know. I don't think you should project that onto the outside world, because I would say it sounds really great. I don't think it sounds goofy at all. I think when you see something as goofy, you got to watch out, because that's just how, like, for some reason that formed in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more a matter of taste.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And there's no accounting for taste, so I would say I use that same one thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like the way it sounds. I like the oldie-timiness of it.
Okay. And
I think it sounds classy and elegant. And if there's one thing I
Fair
fucking
enough.
got, it's class and elegance.
How are ya?
Up the wazoo. So, you know, long story short, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions about me, and don't make assumptions about me being a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know if this like fits in here, but it reminds me of like when random people that I've come across would say something about history. They're people that thought that history was a contraction of his story.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if they mean that literally, or if they're just being cute.
No, I know what you mean. I've read people online saying that, and unless they're a Poe. You've encountered them. I've encountered them.
And you're saying you've encountered, because I've never like gone deeper into it.
In like comment threads, I've seen, you know, and you can't take comment threads too seriously. But
well, that's true. Well, I think maybe actually I did get into it with somebody. I can't remember enough to report it, but I just assumed people were trying to be cute about like the gender and language thing, and I would just roll my eyes and go, yeah, whatever. But then I got the impression, and maybe you have too from comment threads, that people really think that that's where the word came from.
Yeah.
And that's not where the word came from. I mean, I just don't know why people can't pick up a fucking dictionary if they're that upset about it.